And I wake up every single morning, and as I get into the kitchen, before I even think about the idea of coffee, I place my hands onto the counter just to open up my chest, and I kind of do this as much as I can.
So I'm not sure if I've ever mentioned this, but I came to yoga because of back pain, and this is not an uncommon thing. I realized very quickly that not only did I have poor range of motion in my spine, but my hips are also incredibly tight. So this sequence is what I started with. This is what I still do. It's short and sweet. And if you do this thing consistently, it's all that you need to alleviate pain and prevent it going forward. So we're going to begin today in a child's pose. I like to start all my practices like this. It's just a great way to sink into the hips. So you kind of bring your knees to the outer edges of the mat, sit the hips back and down. If you have kind of sore knees and hips, you can always put a towel underneath your calf and your thighs. Reach your arms out in front of you and gently rest the forehead down to the ground. Let's begin to sway your hips from left to right. And the thing with yoga as opposed to stretching is that with yoga, you're trying to focus your attention on your breath and use your exhales with your attention to try and release and relax into the posture. Inhale, come up to tabletop. Make a nice square shape with your body, stacking your shoulders over your wrists, hips over your knees. Inhale, cow, so lower the belly, chin up. Exhale, cat, round and curl into the spine. Inhale, cow, so anteriorly tuck the tailbone, open up to the chest, look up. Exhale, cat, round and curl. Last time. Inhale, cow, belly lowers, look forward. Exhale, cat, curl into the spine and release. We're going to come into a puppy's pose. This is probably my number one favorite back stretch, and I do this every day. You don't have to do it on the floor. You can also do it on the kitchen counter. So the idea is that you would stack your hips over your knees and you place your hands out in front of you and you would dip your chest down to the floor, either resting your forehead and your chin or your chest. And if this is a bit much, you can use some blocks, or you can even use anything like a chair even. I'll just illustrate with these two things here. And the idea is that you have your arms out extending and you just open up the chest and lowering yourself down. Optionally, you can either do a stretch sequence like this, and I wake up every single morning, and as I get into the kitchen, before I do anything, before I even touch or think about the idea of coffee, I place my hands onto the counter, straighten or put my heels underneath my hips and bend all the way down like this, just to open up my chest, and I kind of do this as much as I can. And release to rise up, coming into a Sphinx pose. So you're going to place your belly down onto the ground. See if you can stack your shoulders over your wrists. You can take your hands just for measurement, touch opposite elbows, untuck the toes. And then from here, you want to just open up the chest. Squeeze the thigh, and you want to kind of bring your chest forward, lift out the back, and you're going to draw traction between elbows going down towards your heels and heels coming in towards your elbows. Now I have some blocks here, and you don't necessarily need them. I will say that it makes a huge difference, especially if you are kind of in pain or you're trying to find some relief or become more flexible. They do help a lot, and I just kind of like to illustrate, almost to kind of convince you to get a set. I'm sure you can buy them online. They are very affordable and very, very useful. And if you'd like a little bit more with this, you can kind of extend through the arms, but just be gentle with the lower back. Again, you kind of keep this lifting sensation. So instead of collapsing into the back, you want your chest moving forward, like up and out. And release. Tuck your toes, roll over into your knees, come up into a table. Inhale, reach your right arm up to the sky. So take a moment just to open up through the chest. Look up. As you exhale, we're going to thread the needle so right arm comes underneath the left shoulder. Right shoulder comes down to the floor, and left arm comes alongside your ear. You're going to twist through the spine. I like to sometimes just move my hips from left to right. And release, left arm underneath the shoulder. Inhale, right arm reaches up to the sky. Exhale, place the right hand back down. Same thing on the other side. Inhale, left arm reaches up. Easy twist. So you want to press down, rotate. And not only do we need flexibility, but we also need to strengthen. So point up and press. Exhale, thread the needle. Left shoulder comes onto the floor underneath the right armpit, and extend your right arm out in front of you. And anytime you find stillness in one of these practices, I always encourage you just to close the eyes and focus on the breath, using the exhales to try and release and relax. And release. Place the right hand underneath your shoulder. And inhale, reach your left arm up to the sky. Exhale, place it down. Hold down. You're going to tuck your toes. Now I'm going to illustrate this with blocks because a lot of the gents out there have tight hips, just like me, and it's easier just to use the blocks or place something underneath your feet. So you're going to sit down. If you have the range, you can always remove the blocks just to sit into a wide-legged yogi squat, which is kind of where we want to go. One of the most important postures to be able to work into is the squat or the deep squat. Having the blocks underneath the heels just gives yourself a little bit of relief to allow yourself to relax into this posture because you want to open up, bringing either your hands at prayer to leverage the knees open. Or what I like to do is always add just a little bit of movement or mobility into the practice to make it nice and fluid. I like to place my right elbow into hook place and then open up through the chest, rotating the spine, switching over, and then switching over one more time, and over, and release. From here, we're going to do a very quick forward fold, but this time we're going to have the feet bent, so allow your head to hang, grab opposite elbows, and just sway from left to right. You can interlace the hands, place them behind the head. You want to tuck the chin and allow yourself to fall down towards the ground. And you want to bend your knees a lot, so you almost allow your spine to decompress by hanging off your hips. And release. We're going to make our way onto the ground. Well done. So having the feet hip width distance apart, you're going to just begin to drop the knees over, window wiping from left to right. And from here, we'll move into a figure form. Now, there are a few versions of this. So you're going to place the right foot on top of the left. And you're going to use your arms to support you just to get your chest nice and open. And you're going to keep your toe flexed. Now, this is option number one. You can stay here. Otherwise, you can always lower onto your back, interlace the hands, and draw it into the chest. But I find this is almost a little bit unnecessary because there's a bit more in that posture, where this is with your arms here, you just allow yourself to kind of sink in and you're trying to get your belly as close to your thigh as possible. I'm going to switch over. Left leg placed into the thigh. Flex your left toes. Open up to the chest. Get nice, long, smooth breaths. And release. You're going to extend your right leg out in front of you. You're going to place the left leg over, having the foot flat and at kind of a 45 degrees. Place the hand behind you, and you're going to hook the elbow and then twist. A seated spinal twist. You're going to flex your left toes, sit up nice and tall, and you're going to use your inhale to create length and exhale to twist. And release. You can exchange it out. Left leg comes out, right leg comes over. Same thing here. Right hand behind your spine as a support. Left arm hooks. And if the hook is a little uncomfortable, you can always take the grip with the hand around the front of the knee, creating length into the spine. Exhale, twist and deepen. And release. From here, we're going to lay down onto our backs. And we're going to draw the right knee into the chest, give it a gentle squeeze, and then lower it over to the left-hand side, supine twist. Again, also one of my favorite spine twists, having your right arm up alongside your ear, facing up, look over the right shoulder, and just begin to gently lower the leg over to the left-hand side. And these are one of these postures that in the beginning it may feel very intense, but use your exhales, kind of exhale, sigh yourself into a nice stretch. And release, exchange it out. Left leg comes in, right leg comes out long. Flex your right toes, give it a good squeeze, and then lower it over to the right-hand side. Look up and over the left shoulder. Oh, that feels good. So you're kind of creating this diagonal stretch across the body. And it's kind of one of those things where you want to figure out where in your own body is a little bit tighter. And if this doesn't feel as necessary or as kind of useful as a previous stretch, then you pause and you work into that a little bit more. All you need is just to hold passively for at least 30 seconds, and all the magic is done. And release. Draw both knees into your chest. Give yourself a giant squeeze. And exhale, release into Shavasana, taking up some space, having your toes out, palms up. Take a deep breath in. And exhale to release. Another deep breath in. Exhale to release. Last one. Deep breath in, fold the belly, so lift the belly up. And suspend when you get to the top, so hold the breath. Exhale to release. And relax. Well done. Thank you once again for your time and effort into your self-practice. If you fancy any more of these 10-minute quick movement snacks, there are tons on the channel, so I invite you to have a look. And if you have any questions or whatever it may be, please feel free to reach out. I'll see you next time for another class. Namaste.